So Bastion made a massive comeback. A week ago you didn't hear the name Bastion or even saw him in your games. Now all you see is this guy. Why though? In this video, we'll go over what you can start doing now to win your games against this weird robot and end the Bastion meta once and for all. First of all, to counter Bastion, you fully need to understand how his kit works. In configuration recon, Bastion is fully mobile and has a submachine gun that fires steady but weak bursts of bullets at medium range. When you're playing a mobile hero, a good Bastion would stay in this configuration since it's easy for him. To give you an idea, it does between 7.5 to 25 damage per bullet. If we compare this to another medium range hero like Soldier 76 who has the same follow damage, then Bastion does about 125 damage per second and Soldier does about 162 per second. Do not underestimate the 37 damage per second difference, it's a big deal. As secondary fire, Bastion throws a grenade for up to 150 total if you stick it on the enemy. It's an area effect, so you don't have to stick to someone, but when you do, you gain about 15 damage. Bonus point, the grenade does bounce off the wall once, however, it doesn't bounce off the ground. Now, the ability that we've all wondered about, Configuration Assault. That's when Bastion becomes a tank and deals a significant amount of damage. He basically triples the damage he does per second. It lasts for 6 seconds and has a cooldown of 12. This mode is preferred when fighting a less mobile hero with a big shield, for example Reinhardt. Whenever he transforms into assault or artillery, Bastion gains 20% damage reduction due to his passive. Ironclad will take the lead in reduction damage before the armor. Also, if you interrupt the animation, Ironclad does not kick in. The animation has to be 100% finished. However, there is a downside to his transformation. He loses 35% of his movement speed, which will be useful later in this video in the how to counter him section. Last but probably the most devastating ability is his ultimate, Configuration Artillery. Man, why does all Bastion's ability have to sound so cool? Basically, he becomes immobile and fires 3 powerful artillery shells. You have about 8 seconds to pick 3 spots. You don't have an official limit in terms of range, however the 8 seconds basically dictates the maximum range. The ability is devastating, just look at this clip I got. Now that you know how his kit works, you need to understand the strategy behind Bastion's playstyle. Usually Bastion is significantly weaker in recon mode, like C tier weak. He also likes to stay far away when assault mode is on cooldown. Bastion is the best damage hero for 6 seconds at destroying slow moving targets with high health, like Rhine or Winston, but also the worst mobility in the game for the same amount of time. The way you want to counter Bastion is to play highly mobile heroes. Anything with mobility is Bastion's worst nightmare. When Bastion is in tank mode, his weak point is behind him. If you manage to get behind him while he's in configuration assault, you're shooting at a DPS with Ryan's hitbox that has 35% decreased movement speed. Can you see how he isn't that strong now? Also, Bastion is the best pick in a team comp with massive shields and healers. If you see a Ryan plus Mercy combo protecting Bastion, know that it will be harder to shut down, but definitely doable. Also, coordination is key when playing against Bastion. I hate adding this tip since all of us play solo queue, but if you manage to land a dive on him, his mobility is one of his weaknesses, so he won't survive it. Good team play is always an option against any hero. Now, what are the best picks to counter Bastion? As a DPS player, you have multiple choices. Genji is the first one that comes to mind. It's literally Bastion's worst nightmare. He can hit you with recon mode as you're jumping everywhere. But what happens if you're in a 1v1 with Bastion that transforms into assault mode and is about to one-shot you? Well, it's fairly simple. You don't use deflect until you see him transforming. When he does, you reflect all that juicy damage back to him and he dies instantly. Look at this clip where I one-shot a Bastion by simply deflecting all the damage back to him and notice how much effort it took me. Also, flanking with Genji is a good strategy. If you manage to get behind Bastion, you won't ever lose to him in a 1v1. If and only if you use your deflect at the right moment. Another pick would be Reaper. Same situation as Genji. If you manage to get behind him, which you're supposed to do anyways, your Hellfire shotguns will kill him in 4 body shots, which is half a clip for Reaper. If you miss your shots and Bastion turns around, just Wraith form away, wait for a cooldown and try again. A Bastion that is not shooting at your tank with assault mode is the perfect situation for you. Sombra is a surprisingly good pick against Bastion too. If you hack him while he's in a recon mode, he won't be able to switch to assault and gun you down. This one is trickier as you need to find him isolated, but it works well when you do. Or if your whole team dives at the same time, if you hack Bastion or EMP the whole team, he won't be able to switch or use his ultimate at this point. I think we understand that a Bastion in recon mode is basically useless. There are definitely more picks. Hanzo could work in higher elos, but it's hard matchup if you're new to the game. Do not, I repeat, do not pick Pharah against Bastion. He will melt you down the second you jump in the air. This matchup favors Bastion. Now, as a tank player, you're in a picky situation as Bastion melts down slow moving targets. The most popular pick against him would be D.Va, if played right. Defense metrics nullifies his damage completely, so your best bet would be to wait for him to switch to a configuration assault, and when he does, you can simply absorb all his damage. He lasts for 6 seconds in this form, so it shouldn't be a problem. However, do not stand near him if your defense metrics is on cooldown. Another tank that does well is Sigma. Be careful with this one, as Sigma isn't that easy to play. However, you have a strong shield that is placeable wherever you'd like, so that helps a lot in this matchup. Also, since Bastion is a slow moving target himself, it's easier to land a good stun on him with Sigma. If you manage to stun him over and over again when he transforms and block his damage, he won't be able to lay significant damage on you or on your team. As I said, practice this matchup in casual before trying out in rank. I would hate to see your first time Sigma against Bastion and get flamed for feeding. For the tank players out there, do not pick Ryan or Winston. You hard lose the matchup, it's not even funny, you'll never melt faster. As a support player, there are 2 picks that you can play to help out your team. It's super rare that I include these in my how to counter, so listen carefully. Play Zenyatta and be annoying. You send your orb of discord every time he transforms to help out your flanking Genji or Reaper. They will deal 25% more damage to him. This combo requires some coordination, but it's not that hard. Now, the next level, if you're a Chad, if you're confident in your Zen skills, you can orb him yourself, charge your orb, and almost one-shot him. Another support that will go well with Zen is Baptiste, since he's quite good at shooting away at shields, and if you play your cooldowns right, you can place your immortality shield when Bastion transforms. It's a hard counter if and only if you don't waste away your immortality shield. Also, Ana would be good if you manage to sleep him at the right moment. This one is trickier as you need solid positioning and good aim to fully take advantage of the matchup, but it's doable. As always, just practice it in casual before you take it to comp. All in all, the best way to play against Bastion is to play mobile heroes all around. Combine that with some coordination and you won't ever lose to him. If your team doesn't want to play with you, pick Bastion as well. It will annoy him and you might as well, am I right?